Hi, Rob here from the Way Out West Roots Music Club. Today I bring you a fabulous interview with the legendary slide guitarist, the wizard himself, Mr. Dave Hole. It was indeed an honour to have this informative chat with Dave. Dave shares some fantastic history with us, including stories of playing with a who's who of American blues performers, how he got to sign to the prestigious American label Alligator Records, and how he met and dined out with a Beatle. Dave Hole and his band will be at Way Out West, Sunday the 17th of March from 2 p.m. Tickets are available from our website. There's a link down below to the website, or you can pick up a ticket at the door. Do not miss this show. Please hit the like and subscribe button and rock on, my friends. Dave, I believe that you came over here with your family pretty early. What year did you arrive, and where did the family settle down?
Okay, yeah, 1953. I was four years
Uh,
old when I came to Australia, so I'm almost an Aussie, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, we came from England, went to settled in Perth,
Yep.
which is where I am now. So that's been home ever since. Um, yeah, my father actually was in submarines in the war during the Second World War, and he was stationed at Fremantle, you know, in WA, and fell in love with the place. So when he got back after the war, he did everything possible to get the family back here. You know, he knew he knew a good thing when he saw
Dave, you are definitely an Aussie, I promise you.
it.
So when did you hear the blues for the first time? And did that have an immediate impact on you?
Yeah, it's sort of I suppose I heard blues when I heard the Rolling Stones. You know, I mean, heard blues influenced stuff, and the Stones were playing their version of blues, which you know was good. It was great at the time, and still is. But when I really sort of think when I really heard the blues was when I heard Muddy Waters record, and that was a sort of what you call epiphany or whatever, you know, revelation. It knocked me off my feet, you know. My friend, we were doing Rolling Stones songs in the little high school band, and well, we saw all these that they were in. Well, we knew they got their name from a Muddy Waters song and all that. So he actually got hold of a Muddy Waters record, but they were hard to get. We had to order them. They never carried them in the Perth record shops. So he ordered it and got it and brought it round one Saturday afternoon, put it on the turntable. It was life changing, you know. I mean, it was just so heavy and so steeped in soul and emotion and you know all that stuff. So yeah, I fell in love then with the blues and started a campaign, well, started a search for all the other greats that we were hearing about but didn't have records of, and one by one, you know, discovered Robert Johnson, Elmore James, BB King, everyone else, you know.
My next question was about Robert Johnson. He's such a legend, and there's such a mystique about him. He's a legend now, and he probably always will. Why do you think a man like Robert Johnson is so important to the blues?
Well, I think it was like a watershed thing. You know, you look at the artists before Robert Johnson, you know, your Charlie Pattons and and all of them really, you know, Blind Lemon Jefferson and even yeah, I don't remember anyway. And if you look at them all, they're all influential. They're all kind of come to a head with Robert Johnson. He's got that whole genre, that influence immediately preceded him. But he kind of crystallized it in this amazing way. He was such an amazing performer. I mean, his guitar playing is still a mystery to most of us. Like, you know, how he reached the notes, like it sounds like two guys playing at once and all that stuff. But he had an amazing, whereas a lot of the other guys just bashed it out, uh, and which was great. You know, it was just really emotional. They were thrashing away there and singing, and that, you know, uh, I would have to exclude people like Blind Blake and that who were really, really subtle. But Robert was more. He had some real finesse in his playing. It was really beautiful, his actual playing and his singing and his haunting voice. It all just came together, and really the influence from that. You know, when you see really Muddy Waters and all those were influenced by Robert. It's very clear, and then so that he kind of lit the flame in a way, you know. I mean, it was there before, but he kind of I don't know, he threw petrol on the fire or something, and it just kind of exploded after him. And of course, because he died so young, and we've only got the 29 recordings, the mystique is there, and because of the, you know, Crossroads selling your soul to the devil thing, which is apparently a bit of a folk legend that persisted in those parts like way before Robert. And it's, you know, it's just one of those things, selling your soul to the devil to get really good at playing violin or guitar or whatever. So that just became a mystique really, and we could, he was inaccessible almost as soon as he kind of got known. He immediately became inaccessible because he was gone, you know. And that's it happens, well, not so much in a way, but with all people like Hendrix and that, you know, when they're gone at such an early age and they've done this body of incredible work and then they're gone. There's something about that just lives on in the human psyche or something. Yeah.
I guess that's the same with Stevie Ray Vaughan too.
Yeah, it is. It's the same with, you know, the Janis Joplins, you know, the club, all those that disappeared early. It is, you know. And I mean, just interestingly, it's not only that they disappeared early, but those are incredibly iconic players. You know, your Robert Johnson, Hendrix, kind of really. I mean, Hendrix is still reverberating in all the, you know, heavy metal band, every kind of music is Hendrix. Is people playing guitar, Hendrix is in there somewhere in their influence, whether they know it or not. And Stevie Ray, who just was an amazing, you know, blues performer, and so they were all iconic as well, even if they hadn't disappeared so early.
I've got all the Pauline Bailey books and you're interviewed in one of them, and you talk about a Blind Willie Johnson, a song, Dark Was the Night, which is one of my favorite songs. That's a haunting song as well. And there's no lyrics, but you picked that out as one of your favorite songs as well. Was there any reason for that?
I mean, you just have to listen to it. It's like the human soul bared in front of, you know, right there in front of you, sort of thing. You know, the way he plays and vocalizes. There's no words, but it's he's humming, if you like, or, you know, along to it. And the way they intertwine and the way he expresses emotion in that, it's just haunting. I mean, it's not coincidental that that's one of them that they sent into outer space when they sent all the, you know, they sent you know, Beethoven and a Chuck Berry song, and they sent that one to represent that kind of blues music, you know, and roots music. And it is because it's absolutely haunting. It's fantastic. I can listen to it over and over.
I hear you, mate. Now, what about some of the artists that influenced your playing style? You've mentioned Muddy Waters and some of the old, you know, 20s and 30s guys. Are there any more contemporary ones?
Well, yes. I mean, at the moment, I'm playing in my shows. I'm playing about 50% slide, which is what I'm really best known for, and 50% what you call standard guitar. Well, with the slide, my big influences are, you know, Blind Willie Johnson, Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters, and Elmore James very much. Robert Nighthawk, Mississippi Fred McDowell. They're all influences on my slide. And on the standard playing, I'm more influenced by, you know, Albert King, B.B. King, Freddie King. Those are the three kings, if you like. Yeah, they're very influential on my standard sort of playing. So I'm more of a got more of a well, we wouldn't call them contemporary now, but it's more contemporary influence in that part of my playing, because that's what I started doing first before I started playing slide. I got in very heavily into those guys like Otis Rush and Buddy Guy and all those guys playing standard. That was, you know, I'm probably like just about every other electric blues player, heavily influenced by the same people that, you know, with that. No, the slide's a bit different, and that's probably my point of difference to every blues player that's around, you know.
I, you've probably been asked this question 1,000 times, but you have quite, anyone's that's seen you play, you have quite a unique style when playing the slide where you're sort of over the top of the neck. How did that come about?
Well, it came as a consequence of a happy accident, really. I was I hadn't played. I just was only just learning to play slide. I was infatuated with Elmore James, and I was trying to learn "Dust My Broom." It's most starting point for most slide guitar players, and I'd sort of getting a little bit along with it, putting the slide on my normal, well, on what the Americans call the pinky, the little finger, the left hand, playing the slide, and then I was playing Aussie rules football and went up for a specky mark and came down with a broken little finger on the left hand. Perfect, So that was that, and I had to put a cast on it for 3 months, and during that time I couldn't play guitar really at all, except the slide I had just happened to fit snugly on the index finger of my left hand, and I was able to drape it over the top of the neck and fiddle around learning the slide. I thought, oh, well, at least I'll learn a bit more about this slide thing. Where are the notes? Because there's different tuning that I was using. And so it was a bit of a learning curve, and I was just trying to spend a bit of time to do that. So that was fine. I started to make some progress, and then the cast came off. So you beauty put it back on on the little finger, but no, it didn't feel the same. So I basically stuck with that over the top slide style, and it was, it wasn't a big deal at the time. I only had one song that I was playing, which was "Dust My Broom," and then people kept coming up and saying, that one when you put that thing on your finger, can you do that one again? So it became popular. So I thought, I'm going to learn another slide song, and then another and another and another. So it's just snowballed.
Cool. Now, you also went back to the UK, I believe, and formed a band over there as well. When did that happen?
Oh, that was pretty early on. That was 1972, 73. And I went to live in London for a couple of years and played around there. Had a band that was in two bands. One was a one to try and keep the bread on the table, was playing cover versions of everything at the pubs around London. And the other one was my blues band, which got hardly any work. But was the most fun, of course. Yeah. But it was a great time to be in London because there were people playing around. I got to know Rory Gallagher a little bit because he was playing in the local pubs and stuff like that, and he was really open to, he knew I was a fellow player, and we got on pretty good. And yeah, it was a great time. Jeff Beck was playing everywhere, so got to see some great players on a regular basis for virtually no money. It's like, I think if there was a cover charge, it was only like £1 or something, So yeah, but nothing really happened, that obviously I was hoping to make progress with my blues band, but at that point, nothing really happened for me, and came back to Perth and played for another 20 years before anything else happened.
You mentioned Rory Gallagher. Here's another one that went a little bit earlier, sort of.
Yes. Yeah, right. Too early. Yeah. Lovely, lovely guy. Wonderful man.
Yeah, I remember seeing him at a gig in Melbourne. It was, that one of the highlights. Fantastic.
Yeah. Fantastic performer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short Fuse Blues, I think, was your first album, and a very impressive one as well. When was that album released?
Well, it was released in 1991.
Okay.
I recorded it in 1990, near the end of 1990. It was 1991, yeah.
Okay, and I believe eventually that album got signed to the prestigious Alligator label. Yep. How did that come? How does a white boy from Perth get signed to the most prestigious blues album in the world?
Well, it was just coincidental again, because I was recording to make a cassette tape for fans at my local shows, always saying, well, they were bringing along recorders and recording the, crappy versions of just putting a microphone. So I thought, well, I'll make one and I'll sell it, not profit motivated, really, just get it out to the fans. So I went into a local recording studio that I happened to know the engineer, and we got some downtime. We had like 3 days booked, and for virtually nothing. It was a very cheap effort, and we just went through all the live things, and there we were. I was ready to put it on a cassette, and the engineer said to me, "You know, this is early days for CDs, right?" He said, "You know, you could make a CD of this. It's come out good. We could make a CD instead of just a cassette." And it was quite a big deal in those days, you know, making a CD. But I went, okay, all right, so I'll make some CDs. I did that, and then I was an avid reader of Guitar Player magazine, and I thought, I'm going to send a copy to them, you know, just out of the blue, because they did have a thing right at the back of the magazine. They had a little section where it was like amateur kind of thing, and they'd say, oh, a little tiny paragraph on, you know, here's John Smith from, you know, Minnesota or something, and he plays in the band and he does this and he uses a 335, you know, just a little thing. And it was great. These people could be really proud that they were in. I thought they might do that with me, you know, so I sent it off. And then at 3 o'clock in the morning, about 2 or 3 weeks later, I got a phone call, and it was the editor of the magazine, Jazz Obrecht, on the phone. Of course, they don't know the time difference. And so I fell out of bed thinking, what's this? And he said, oh, I love the CD. He said, we're going to review it. I'm going to give it the best review I've given anything in years.
Wow.
I thought, what? So yeah, it was, once again, a pivotal moment. And he did just that. And then they did an article on me. And he also got on the case and started talking to record companies. And there was a few that he phoned, and that now he asked me what label, and I said, well, Alligator Records. Half of my own record collection was on Alligator. So I thought, well, you know, why not? And so he got in touch with Bruce Iglau, the president of Alligator, and eventually we got signed. I mean, Bruce was reluctant because he'd never signed a non-US artist. So the idea of working with someone overseas was very difficult for him. But he had turned down Stevie Ray, so he was kind of apprehensive about missing anything. He was at that point. And Mindy Giles is one of the girl who actually brought Stevie Ray to him, and but Bruce passed on it. Mindy was on my case, and she kept nagging him, you've got to sign this guy, and she was a fan. So we eventually signed with Alligator, and then it was on. I was straight off on the plane over to America to launch the CD and play an extensive tour.
Yeah. So you had what, at least four albums released on Alligator?
Yeah, I think it's five Alligator, and then I've had one or two on Blind Pig. Yeah, the last one was sort of like it's on my label, which is Black Cat Records, but distributed through the US distribution network. So, you know, I'm still very close to Alligator. I talk to them a lot, and if I want to go and tour heavily in the States, they will release an album of mine at any time. So it's one of the things in the back of my mind, they can't really, the way things are these days, they can't really throw out a new CD without any touring support. You know, the artist's got to get out there and get around and promote it. So, and I'm not that keen since COVID.
Yep.
I had a tour lined up during COVID and cancelled it, like everything got canned.
Yeah.
And not so keen these days to do the long, arduous all states tours in America and Europe the same, really. So
yeah, you get on an aeroplane and you're bound to get something by the time you get off the other end.
Oh yeah, it's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah. That's right. So I think you toured the States in '92, and you got to rub shoulders with some incredible people, like jammed with Buddy Guy and Albert Collins, and you mentioned Otis Rush. They must have been like, pinch myself, is this real sort of stuff? Although you've got you as good as any of them, but yeah.
Well, no, I mean they're legendary. They're my heroes, and to get on stage with them. I mean, Otis Rush came to my show actually in Chicago, and someone introduced me to him, and I asked him if he would come up and play. You know, you want to play a song, and he said, "Yeah, I've got the guitar in the boot in the car in the trunk." You know, so he went and got his guitar and joined me for a few songs, and then the
Wow.
next time I did that same club just outside Chicago, he came along again and he did the whole second half with me. It's
Wow.
fantastic. It was amazing. That was it. And Buddy Guy, you know, played jammed with a few times. I got to tour with Gary Moore and play with him. Albert Collins was well on Alligator Records, so he was like a label mate, and we got to play together a bit, and he was a wonderful, wonderful man. Fantastic.
The master of the Telecaster, wasn't he?
Yeah, and just the nicest. If you look at Albert Collins on stage, he looks ferocious, like he's going to eat you alive. And but he was the softest, most lovely man. You know, very, very, very friendly guy.
You mentioned Gary Moore, and that was going to be my next question.
Oh,
You played at the Royal Albert Hall as well on that tour with Gary Moore. That must have been incredible.
yes, yeah, it was. You know, I did two tours with Gary around Europe generally, and the last one was at the Albert Hall, and it was incredible. We had guest artists. Albert Collins came and played on that as well. George Harrison came and played on it. So you know, there's rubbing shoulders with the Beatles is there's something about Beatles that I don't
Yeah,
know what it is for my generation. They're like gods, you know.
yeah.
But yeah, so George was there, and it was great, and it's a wonderful venue, and just such a thrill to play there, you know.
Well, I'm just going to go off now. Did you actually get to have a chat with George Harrison? I've just finished
Yeah,
reading a big book about him, and he seemed to be a bit of a shy sort of person.
yeah. Well, no, I think he could be, but I think it probably depend on the context. When he was with other musos, that you know, he always talking guitars, amps, all sorts of musical stuff. I think that he was quite well when I met him. He was really open and you know chatted freely, and then we all had a meal after the show, and he sat and chatted to me and others, and yeah, it was really nice. Um,
Well,
so you know that's as I found him. Yeah,
yeah, oh, fantastic. Um, I know, as well as being an incredible bluesman, I was reading about that you also have a degree in physics. And so I guess that makes you the Oppenheimer of the blues. Is that correct?
well, I haven't made a bomb yet, but
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I was interested in physics at high school, and when I left high school, I drifted into it really. I mean, it was you know I got really good marks in physics and maths, so everyone said, "Well, you've got to go to uni and do that. That's what you have to do." So I would like to have played, you know, music, but so what I did was I went and did physics and just played in bands at nights and weekends. You know, so I paid my way a little bit with playing in bands. So yeah, once I got my degree, I took a year off before I went on to further postgrad, and I um, went over to Melbourne actually with the Beaten Tracks when we won the Hoadley's Battle of the Bands. And
Yeah.
that was you know anyway I spent a bit of time there. Then I had to come back and start uni again. And bit by bit, what happened was I just lost more. I didn't lose interest in physics, but I gained more and more interest in music. So eventually, I just yeah, basically drifted into
Yeah.
a life of musical, you know, minstrel. Yeah.
You know, I think, is it Brian May from Queen? He's got some sort of astrophysics thing as well,
Yeah,
doesn't he? Yeah.
yeah. Well, see, keep reading that there's a connection between mathematical ability. Physics is basically maths when
Yeah.
you know really,
Yeah.
but there's a very big tie up between mathematical ability and musical ability. that seems to be quite, I mean, Einstein played violin. You've got there's the parallels are, too not too many to be coincidental.
Wow.
What's his name? Don Walker from, is
Yeah.
it Don
Colchism.
Walker? Yes, he's got a physics. He's a physicist, astrophysicist or something, physics degree guy too. So there's quite a few of us
Wow.
sort of nerdy musos.
I I wasn't very good at maths at school. I finished up joining the bank, so I don't know how that worked either.
Oh, well, it's a theory. I don't know if it's true or not, but yeah.
I saw you play at the Broadbeach Blues Festival, and just from my observation, you were having a ball. Do you still get a big buzz out of playing in front of people?
Yeah, I do. It's really why I keep doing it.
Mm,
It's definitely the payoff is definitely that time on stage,
mm,
performing to an audience.
mm,
It's what I love doing, and I think I'm not alone. I'm
mm,
sure you have to look at all sorts of musicians when they're getting to my kind of age.
mm,
You have to think, well, why would Paul McCartney be going out? Is
mm.
he short of a quid or what? No,
Yeah,
it's the payoff is the
yeah,
performing to an
yeah,
audience, and that's the drug that we're all on.
yeah, yeah. I'm so glad of that. Um, Way Out West, that's the name of our club. I'm not sure if you're aware. We've been going 23 years, and every now and then I'll go around and do a straw poll about who am I going to try and get to the club. Your name always comes up. You've got to get Dave Hole. You've got to get Dave Hole. And I'm so glad it came about just through that connection with John Sinclair, because I didn't know how I was going to contact you. So, mate, you're going to make us so happy when we see you at that
Well,
place.
I've heard such amazing things about Way Out West. Every muso I know from Melbourne tells me you got to do Way Out West. Those guys are the great audience. They're fantastic. The
Oh,
best place to play. Blah blah blah. So I'm all geared up for it. I'm
all
looking
right,
forward to it.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And who will be on stage with you, Dave? Who you got playing with you?
Oh yeah, pretty good band actually. I've got
Yeah.
Roger McLaughlin on bass.
Wow.
These guys for you in Melbourne, Victorians,
Yeah.
they don't need introduction.
Yeah.
Jerry Pantazis on drums, and Jerry's just finished doing the Russell Morris's symphony shows as his drummer there. Jerry's played with everybody, and Richard Tankard on
Oh,
keys.
yeah. All
They're
regulars at Way Out West.
they're all a team, as
Yeah.
I would call them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
sensational. Yeah. Roger and Jerry, I think, are with Jeff Atchison's band too.
Yes. Well,
And
basically, I've pinched Jeff's band. That's
yeah,
what I've
and
with his
Richard.
blessing, thankfully.
All
But
right.
Jeff. He's the loveliest
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
wonderful, and it's kind of through him in a way that I've looked up with his band, and yeah. So
Maybe we should ask him to come along and
yeah. Well, I probably not for the Way Out West.
yeah,
We're just coming back from Tasmania on a flight in the morning, so we're going to be busting a gut to
yeah,
get to you and all that. So it's going to be
yeah.
a bit hectic for us. But I'm doing a show down at Frankston, which is
Mm,
where Jeff lives.
mm.
So we'll definitely drag him into that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, cool. Yeah, well, we're not too far from the airport, so you should get a pretty
yeah,
good run. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well,
that's about all I've got, Dave. I'm again just so thankful that you had a chat for us. So I feel actually I said to people on the weekend we had the St Kilda Blues Festival, and I said to a lot of people, "Oh, I'm getting to interview Dave Hogan." Oh, Dave Hogan, Dave Hull. I'm so nervous. I'm going to be so nervous, but you've made it really good. Oh, and the other thing I was going to ask, do you get to see your old mate Matt Taylor over there in
oh yeah,
W?
well, yeah. I see Matt from time to time here. Well, I have to go and visit him because he doesn't drive. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm up
yeah,
in the hills. Although his ex-wife, who he's still close to, it's one of those
yeah,
weird ex but not ex.
yeah.
She lives just up the road from me, so
Okay.
sometimes see him
Yeah.
there. But no, I keep in touch with Matt, and he's a dear friend,
Yeah.
lovely man.
Did you
And
guys play
a
together?
chain
Yeah,
playing there.
yeah. They're playing next Monday. It's a public holiday here, Labor Day, so they always come and play. So that's always a buzz.
Well,
Yeah,
give him my best, would you please, Rob? Yeah.
I will for sure.
Phil and Dirk, and Dirk's with them, isn't he still?
Dirk's still playing, yeah.
Yeah, I played with
Trapper.
Dirk
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Give them all my best regards, would you?
I will, mate. And thanks again, Dave. Really appreciate it. And safe travels, and we'll see you in, not that, 12 days or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Not too long.
12 more sleeps.
Yeah, that's right, mate. It's going to be Christmas. It's Christmas for us, mate.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks,
Thank
Rob.
you, man. Bye.